Was getting drunk with Prince William on your bucket list?
That's the bucket.
That's the bucket, is it?
Well, I thought he looked very natural. I think he looked to say he was enjoying himself and strolling along with Eugene Levy and having a nice time. And, poor Prince William hasn't had a very easy time recently because obviously one of the big problems about being Prince of Wales is you never know when you're going to become king. And if his father was ill, which he has been, and also having an ill wife and very young children, he's got a lot on his plate. So it's nice to see him looking really cheerful, which is actually, in many ways, more than you can say for his brother. I think probably the difference is that I suspect that Prince Harry is often having to talk about things that he doesn't really want to, or he doesn't entirely understand, that he's sort of like singing from a different hymn sheet. He's being, there's a lot of California speak in a way, which is not his natural thing, which obviously Prince William doesn't do. So Prince William, is very much himself and sort of staying within his comfort zone. And I think probably the reason why Prince Harry sometimes seems rather distant and perhaps a little bit nervous or is because, he's he's having to talk about things that he doesn't really want to talk about because that's what he's been told to do. That's what I think. Well, it's a different role altogether, isn't it? You see, the thing is that Prince William is a working royal. He's doing things on behalf of us, on behalf of the nation, the Commonwealth. He's putting things into life the whole time. That is his life of service and devotion. At the same time, he's obviously balancing that with being a husband and father. And my feeling is that the late Queen Elizabeth II had a wonderful childhood. She was very well brought up, and what they called us four, the Duke and Duchess of York and Elizabeth and Margaret. I mean, they had a really, really nice childhood, and that was incredibly good grounding for later life. So what he's doing with his children, I think, is very important. Sometimes people say Prince William doesn't do enough public duties. He's got plenty of time to do that later. So, to answer your question, yes, I think he is in his comfort zone. I think he's doing things which he feels are constructive, and occasionally it's really nice to see him taking a stroll with a very respected comedian, and very enjoyable for both of them, and probably won't do Eugene Levy's forthcoming series or show any harm either. It'll get him a lot of publicity, but that's all rather nice. Whereas Prince Harry is taking a different route. He has to make money. He has to be a celebrity. He has to continually, sort of. Is always coming up. They're always coming up with new ideas. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and that must be very difficult. So I think he does look very uncomfortable. I think the joy's gone out of his life. I mean, I hope he has some private joy when the cameras aren't around. Because he's got two small children as well that he's no doubt spending a lot of time with. But the thing is that he was trained. I mean, he's a very, very good soldier, and he was trained to do royal duties. And actually, I saw him doing royal duties in the Caribbean and places like that, and he's very, very good at it. And every now and again, he goes back to doing that when he looks much more comfortable. I guess it's true of all of us. We do what we're trained to do, and that's what he was trained to do. He isn't trained to do. He's not a sort of a red carpet person, or indeed, I don't suppose he feels terribly comfortable as a sort of doing the odd walk-on part in a cookery show. Just seems not right somehow. Prince Harry was very good at his royal duties, of course, when he was doing them over here. As I say, I saw him doing them. I mean, he came once to unveil a Jubilee Walkway panel, and he was incredibly good, and the crowds were terribly excited to see him. That was some years ago now, about 2013. Prince William, again, I've seen him on public engagements. I mean, I was once doing a thing for a charity, and actually, I didn't do very much for the charity, but my goodness me, he made me feel as though I'd sort of done the whole fundraising single-handedly. He was very, very good at it. It's always rather sad when you see somebody going into an area where they're not comfortable, and I think it's a waste of his talents, really. I mean, he may have thought that this new life in California was going to be better. Of course, to be fair to him, originally what he wanted to do was half and half, and he was told you can't do that. And understand that you can't be making money on the one side and then also trying to do royal duties, because it doesn't work. And of course, the sad thing is that should he come back now, which I don't think he will, by the way, I don't think he particularly wants to either, it would be a distraction. It wouldn't be a benefit to the king, because every time he did something, people would be watching what he was doing and not the very important work that the king's doing. So that's very sad. So he's rather painted himself into a corner. He has to do that. Of course, the great advantage of a hereditary monarchy is that there's always this rebirth, this regrowth. You get a new person who has new ideas and does things in a different way. The only thing I would say is great to be informal, great to go and have a chat with a comedian, great to have a bit of fun, great to do all those things, as long as every now and again he reverts to being, the Prince of Wales, or in fullness of time, the king. When he's king, I hope that he will still put on his crown and go down and open Parliament in full state, because people love that, and it's a reminder of the position of the king in the Constitution. They can do both. They can be very formal and they can be very informal. He veers, as you know, a lot towards informality.